There's a poem you've probably heard, maybe at a funeral, maybe you've even read it yourself. It feels really comforting, super familiar. But what if its real meaning isn't about comfort at all? What if it's actually a radical rebellion against the very idea of death? All right, let's dive into the secret life of a poem you only think you know. It starts right here with this gentle but very firm command. It instantly sets a scene we all recognize, right? A graveside, a place of sadness, of absence. But right away, the poem starts to take that reality apart, piece by piece. The voice tells us where to look instead, not in the ground, but out in the world. It's saying, I'm not a memory stuck in one place. I am an action. I'm a force of nature. And it's not just a force, it's also a sensation. That little flash of light, a moment of beauty that just catches your eye? The poem builds this incredible sensory experience, moving from the wind to the snow, and then to the feeling of warmth on a field of green. It's this physical, totally tangible presence that's everywhere you look. And honestly, the story of how these words even came to exist is just as amazing as the words themselves. So, where in the world did this piece of universal comfort come from? You might think a famous poet or some deep philosopher, but nope, it came from a very ordinary place, born out of just profound empathy. Okay, so you gotta picture this. It's 1932. Mary Elizabeth Frye, who's a florist in Baltimore, has a house guest, a young German Jewish woman named Margaret. Margaret's mother is dying back in Germany, but because of the terrifying rise of anti-Semitism, she can't go home to say goodbye. That specific kind of grief, with no grave to visit, no way to get closure, that's what sparked this poem. Frye, who was an orphan herself, just felt that pain and channeled it into something brand new, scribbling it down on, of all things, a brown paper shopping bag. And what she wrote down, well, it wasn't just a comforting thought. It was a completely radical philosophy. It suggests that death isn't an end or even a trip to another world. It's more like diffusion. The poem basically puts forward this idea of ontological diffusion. I know, it sounds fancy, but the theory is pretty simple. When we die, we aren't gone. We just scatter. We redistribute ourselves into the wind, the snow, the rain. Our entire being becomes part of the world all around us. And this is where you really see how wild this idea is. The traditional view? It's all about absence. There's a body in a grave, a soul somewhere else. The person is just gone. But Frye's view completely flips that on its head. The person isn't absent, they're present, literally everywhere. Their consciousness dissolved into the very fabric of the world. This just flattens the whole hierarchy, A human being is no longer the star of the show. We become just as real, just as present as a gust of wind or a beam of sunlight. It's a really different way of seeing existence. But this isn't just some big philosophical idea. It's something that can physically calm us down. Let's get into how that works. Yeah, this isn't just a beautiful concept. It has a measurable biological effect on us. The way the poem is built is basically a masterpiece of neuroaesthetics. It's designed to soothe our deepest fears. So here's how it works. That constant, rhythmic repetition of I am, it acts like a mantra. This pattern of sound actually quiets down the amygdala, which is your brain's alarm center for fear and grief. In response, your brain starts releasing calming hormones, and it reorganizes that chaotic feeling of grief into this organized, wonderful sense of connection. The poem literally hacks your fear response. So if the poem can actually reshape our brains, it can definitely reshape our culture of grief, right? It kind of offers us a blueprint for how to mourn in our pretty complicated modern world. This poem, written right on the edge of the Holocaust, feels so incredibly relevant today in our own time of mass loss and climate grief. It's telling us to reject this idea of sorrow that we perform for other people and instead find a shared elemental connection. It's pushing us to stop looking for our loved ones at a specific plot of land and start finding them in the morning quiet or the soft stars at night. Suddenly, mourning isn't a duty anymore, it's a celebration. Okay, so we've looked at the origin, the philosophy, and the science. But there is one final layer to this poem. It's a kind of impossible reading that turns absolutely everything on its head. What if all this talk about diffusion and being present isn't meant to be reassuring after someone's died? What if the speaker isn't speaking from beyond the grave at all?
The poem saves its most powerful, most shocking line for the very end. Not, I'm at peace, not, I'm in a better place. It's just a simple, stunning declaration of fact. I did not die.
And this is the ultimate secret of the poem. Maybe it isn't about how to cope with death. Maybe it's an argument that death, as we understand it, is a complete illusion. It's a manifesto for life, rejecting the whole idea of absence. The speaker never actually left. And that just leaves us with this final, totally mind-bending thought. We build graves and memorials to try and contain a loss, to mark a separation. But what if that separation never really happens? What if we are all always just a part of the wind and the snow and the light? What if we're already eternal?